Hey everybody, it's Thursday.
And welcome to this week's edition of The Night Bite.
I'm Josh.
And I'm Emily. And we are out here on the lake. We've always talked about trying this, and the weather was right. So we are really crossing our fingers for a good internet connection. We're going between 4G and 5G, but we are out here fishing and we are on fish.
Yeah, yeah, it's been kind of a rough. Well, I can't say that rough. We've caught some fish, but it's been a little slow for us. I don't know. What do you think?
Why do you say that at all?
I
Okay,
don't
so
know.
we haven't had a show in like 2 weeks because we were on vacation, and before that we were prepping for vacation. We have to admit, and so vacation we were out in Lake Osakis, and so there's some really super great fish out there. Um, but the thing about it is we were dealing with some really rough conditions. There was a lot of rain, there was a lot of wind, and all kinds of stuff, bug hatches. So we caught all kinds of bluegills, we caught all kinds of crappies. Speaking of, and you caught actually a really nice walleye.
I did catch a nice walleye. That was a gift from the fishing gods. They handed me that one pretty much on a silver platter. That was actually kind of a cool story. So we were sitting here fishing. We were doing some searching on some new structure with the live scope that we hadn't done before. And Emily, I was, I don't know, doing something around with my tackle box, and Emily's like, "Hey, there's a really long mark on the live scope." And so I was like, "Oh, we should catch it so it gets away from all of our panfish." So I, looked at the live scope. It was on the opposite side of the boat. Um, Dropped down and it just bit. It was awesome. So we reeled it in. Emily uh had a stellar net job on it. Got into the boat, nice 27-inch Osakis walleye, and that pretty much made the trip, I think. We did catch a few bluegills and stuff. A lot of it was in like 20 to 30 feet of water, even a little bit more than that. Here where we're at, our elevation, our max depth of fishing, we try and stay above like 26 feet out there. Um, you're able to fish a little bit deeper and still safely release the fish. So, yeah, we caught a bunch of like good eater bluegills. We had a good fish fry with the family, and yeah, it was good.
It was good. And I think the reason that you said in the first place, like it's been a dry spell or why haven't been catching fish or whatever, is because we have been doing a lot of driving and all of that. But I mean, it's been really all right, and I think we're excited to be back to routine and back to the lakes and back to being out here. So, um, we've both caught, I think, a small crappie right now, at least on this episode. We caught a few fish before that, but let's describe kind of where we're at. So we're kind of northern Wisconsin where we're at.
Yeah,
Water temperatures 74 degrees.
yeah, 74, 75.
Yeah, and we are fishing around. There's all kinds of structure out here in what is this, 13 to 15, 18
Yeah,
feet. There's a few
12
different
to 16
cribs.
feet. Yeah.
Yeah, all along here. So what we are doing is we have the structure that's been marked on our graphs before, and so we came to check it out, and it turns out fish were here. So we actually backed off a little bit because we didn't want to scare them all out of the crib, but we found that there's quite a few moving around out there. And actually, if you watch the reels, one of the Facebook reels on our page, you can see a little hint of um, the live scope. So I'm not sure if we can get the camera later and show you a little bit more of that. But we're going to keep doing some fishing here and we'll describe that along the way. I'm going to try to see if I can see people's comments and follow along. But otherwise, our comments today are on the back of Josh's camera. So we'll
Over
see
there.
if we can follow along. And if you have questions, hit us up. So I guess like what we're doing here tonight, I guess, what are you using as a plastic?
I'm using a little minnow plastic. It's nothing revolutionary. A lot of people call them like Bobby Garland baits. That's a brand name. I think technically it's like a baby shad imitation. And a 30-second. It might be a 48-ounce head. Uh, Not really anything special because that's just what I had on. Um,
That's what I got on.
yeah, that's what I had on.
So often how I pick.
And paint. Well, so I'm using our infamous glitter princess color. That's always been a good color on this lake. Don't ask me why, they just like it. It's one of those lakes that has a goofy color regime. I don't know.
And actually what I'm using tonight is way different than that. So they must really just be hungry if they're biting on everything. But I'm not sure how close I can get this to the camera. I'm gonna like try to wave it in front. There's no way that's gonna ever work out. Yeah, so one of those, whoa, Widowmaker disco balls. And then I have a brown bleach plastic on here. And so far, we've caught the crappies, I've caught a bluegill, I caught a perch. And so everything seems to just be eating right now.
Yeah, so a little bit about our trip. You know, we like Emily said, we're from north central Wisconsin. My family's out in Minnesota, and we kind of gather in Osakis this year to do like a family reunion, fishing for a week. But on our way, if you guys watched anything on our YouTube, that's Emily's bait for tonight. If you watched anything on our YouTube shorts, I had to fix one of my JT rods, or get a replacement for it. And so we stopped at the store in Farmington. Declan helped us out. He got us a new rod. That's a pretty cool program they have. If you accidentally break one, they replace it, no questions asked. All you have to do is pay the replacement fee, and there you go. Fill out the form on their website. So we stopped there. We got to see Declan and check out some of the shop. You know, got to see some of the new stock coming out this year. Had a good week of fishing.
Oh.
And then on our way back, where'd we stop, Emily?
Oh my gosh, I'm catching this fish right now, and you're asking me where
I'm catching this fish. Oh, that's a good one.
Well, yep, that's why we have nets out, but we just never use them.
That's a dandy. Yeah, where'd we stop?
Oh, I'm sorry. On the way home from vacation?
Yeah.
Costco?
What
are you talking about? You tell me.
You tell me. We stopped at the Striker headquarters in Hudson.
Putting me on the spot. I'm like catching a fish. I'm like trying to rejoin in the conversation.
Well, we were talking about JT, and then we stopped at one other fishing place, and that was Striker. And it was so cool to see those guys. They have so much new things. They actually got 3 awards at ICAST this year, which was awesome. They actually had the trophies on display. That was kind of cool.
It was actually kind of cool.
And
well, okay. And as far as the trophies go, though, 2 of those awards were for women's gear.
That's true. Yeah.
And so it's really nice that, you know, there's so many women angler out there. And so to have all these different options, especially for winter coming out, I'm super excited.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. Not only is there a bunch of new women's stuff that, you know, we actually got to see. You know, I think you're wearing one of the newer stuff right there.
Everyone loves the barricade hoodie in winter for men, but has a face mask. You don't have to wear it. Obviously, I don't need it right now. Helps with bugs though.
Whoa. But we actually got to see some of the other stuff. They have a whole lineup of new hats. They have they had the packable rain gear was out. We checked that out. That was pretty cool. Man, what else do we see there? I picked up some. Speaking of a new hat, I got.
I missed a fish because I think I'm not seeing the comments.
I got a
backstage.
You're backstage.
That was such a high up light.
I don't know.
That's all right. We're just winging it for the evening, and so we're trying it out. I might just check on Facebook just to see how this is going, just to see if we have any comments or anything. But, sorry, where were we at?
Well, I was trying to talk about Striker, and you're over here fishing.
I'm over here fishing. That's the problem.
No, so we got to see there. I was saying there's a brand new fish finder hat, like a sonar hat that's only available on the website. It's super cool. I wish I would have brought it tonight. I forgot. I'm in my work clothes. I've been doing plant surveys all week at work. We were in a lake today that had so many weeds we couldn't even use a trolling motor. I had to row the boat for most of the lake. So
Drop 'em down.
yeah. Yeah. So what else did we do while we were there?
You know, one of the things that I did on vacation that I always look forward to actually is I rearranged my tackle box. And it's because I think throughout the year, and I just get in the habit of, when you're fishing, sometimes you know you need to switch jigs really fast, or sometimes you're like ruffling through trying to find what they're biting on. And I find so often that I'm not good at returning the tackle like where it should be, like in
Mhm.
its spot. And so I've kind of been throwing it in the top of my top shelf. And gosh, that's over here tonight. Maybe we'll show you guys that later. But what I was able to do on vacation is just take that time and go through and rearrange all those things. And it's nice because you know what? Some of that stuff that I rearranged, I started using. And actually, this is a great point about vacation. One of the things that we found, because we were fishing in wind, but deeper fish, I started using spoons.
Yep.
And you always hear things like spoons do a good job at cutting current and yada yada. We're not fishing current, but the wind moves you around so much. And I guess the spoon did make a really great shape. We were able to, use a fairly small profile, but get down to the bottom where the fish were. And that's how we found bluegills and actually quite a few walleyes that way too.
Yeah, we were fishing quite a few of those fronts that were going through over by Minnesota, and they really wanted a smaller presentation, and we didn't even have to tip the spoons. That was the cool part. That was the cool part about those spoons is that um all you just had to drop it down. You could fish a slightly smaller spoon um because it cuts the water so good. And those spoons that Widowmaker have, they have the little flappy blades on the bottom. The bluegills
And the
really,
slab seekers.
yeah, the slap seekers, yeah. The bluegills really seem to like them, but yeah, we picked up a couple walleyes even doing that too.
Well, and it was really nice because it was a minnow bite, and then there's so many different color options that we were able to because the water clarity was, I guess, not what I expected. It was a whole lot dirtier, well, than usual. Double. Whoa. And so there were times where the slab seeker spoon, something that was more metallic, that's what was working. But then there were times where that birch color is just what they were looking for. And
Hmm.
so to be able to, I guess, adjust like that and not lose bait after bait after bait, that was actually really
It was pretty awesome. And you were talking, I'm just kind of flipping back and forth here as we're fishing and just talking about stuff. But you were talking about organizing your tackle box. Um, a little while back, um, I had exchanged, well, not exchanged. I had got upgraded my Magnum top shelf for the new version because the new version has kind of like a Molly system on it where they have the nylon webbing and they have interchangeable accessories like different pockets and this and that and they came out with these mesh side pockets that I really like because I'm a visual person and so I like to see what's in those giant pockets and that's really helped me. Uh-oh, plastic change.
Uh-oh.
But so that's really helped me and since I did that you were like, "Well, I want to upgrade mine." And so we upgraded yours. And so that was part of the reason, besides, going through your tackle, is that you had to switch over from your old
I thought
top
we did that
shelf.
at the same time.
No, because we dropped, we were because then we went to the chip and we dropped the tackle box off for
Yep.
for
All
that
those
lady.
things are true.
Yeah.
So I think what we have below us right now is a whole bunch of there's a whole bunch of fish that are
I'm gonna
cruising
grab
around,
a
but
new
these
bait.
are not the big ones. So after Josh grabs a bait, maybe we'll see if we can. Whoa, See if we can go a little bit closer to, what are we, like 10, 15 feet, 20 feet out from the crib right now?
Only Emily would want to move when she's catching fish.
Well, because that's what I'm saying. Is like there's fish here, but I think it's some of these smaller ones. They're really squirrely. It's fun to catch all, but there is better fish here. And I guess that's the thing is you got to make a choice. Do you want to go and catch a lot of fish, or do you want to try to hunt down some of those bigger fish because they're not always in the same spot. Sometimes you just find fish, and that's great. But sometimes you got to find the big one. Casting out a little bit because that's close to the crib. We'll see if this theory pulls through. I think I'm sinking too fast. Oh yeah, look at you. That's color.
Oh, good one. Should I get the net for you?
Oh, we're gonna measure that one actually.
I got to get the bump board out.
I don't know how well you guys can see this. That's a good one. Josh is getting out like our longest bump board. That's so
No,
funny.
it just never got folded up.
This is normally when I take a selfie, but you're here for it live. All right, I wish I could show you this. Closed mouth. If you pinch the tail, we're almost at 12 and a half here. So that's a pretty good one, but we're just going to let them stray go. And like I said, got to get closer to that crib because that's where it came from, right? It's not always that easy. That's funny.
Sometimes I think I should be charging for this service. No, but in all seriousness, I think we've been watching. You really don't need the live scope to do this kind of stuff. We have the points. You really only have to just kind of set up near it. And in this kind of instance, you can see all the fish on the 2D and the side scan. And even if you don't have side scan, 2D is plenty. And basically for me, I'm just dropping down, letting it sit for a second and popping it off the bottom. And then those fish are coming and hitting it.
That's what you're doing is you're fishing the bottom?
Yeah.
Oh, I find that if I go higher up, because here's one of the things actually I did this on vacation too, is when there's a whole bunch of fish in one spot, is when you hear people talk about like get going with a feeding frenzy. Like get all of these fish eating, get attention going, even if it's some of these smaller fish, because when the bigger fish especially see all this attention, then they come over. And so if I find that I can like fish up above that group a little bit, sometimes it's the bigger fish that'll come up and make that strike. Not always that lucky. Sometimes you're just fishing little fish, but sometimes it really works out.
Well, and this particular spot here is shallow enough where here towards the evening, we've had really good success in a walleye or two will show up. They'll be cruising around between all the structures, and and so you can see them kind of come across on your technology, and you'll be able to pick them out. But yeah, they'll just be like swimming in and out here, and you'll just randomly pick one up. It's a pretty fun time. Okay. And I really need to change this line. I've been in the middle of changing all my line over to fins, and this is the only rod left that I have. And because this rod really is something that I take out during the fall time when we start a lot more of the vertical jigging. And holy cow, I forget how difficult this other line is. I really like my fins.
I don't mean to change the subject.
No, you're fine.
But here's something that I will admit, shamelessly, is this plastic. I mean, I guess you saw me put it on close to the beginning of the episode. And I've gotten quite a few bites at this point, and I've now like readjusted this plastic 1, 2, 10 times. But the nice thing is that the fish don't care, and the tail is still here.
Sorry, little guy.
And so I'm just going to keep shamelessly using this bitten up plastic until it is gone. And that's the nice thing is when you have live bait and your minnow gets bitten off, that could have been like 10 minnows ago. But here, this plastic, it just keeps going. It's just nice.
It is nice. We're both doing it.
Oh, Troy is asking if we can show the screen.
Yeah, I can try. Might get a little bumpy for a sec. Let me reposition this boat.
The answer is yes, Troy. Josh is gonna try it. If it doesn't work out, we'll go back to this. Worst case scenario.
All right.
Once in a while, you can see the fish swim back down, and that's always a really funny thing.
Here, let me just take you guys out of the holder because.
Or just take this and put it on the floor. Reach. Oh.
So one thing that we really don't like to do is park directly on top of the crib. So if you can see, 0 is right here. Crib's about 5 feet off. And so like you can see.
Look, that's Emily about to kill
Emily right there. So you really don't need to be right on top of the structure. You can see there's fish all over the place.
Hold on, let me get it off the hook.
So yeah, you can see. Oh, sorry guys. You can kind of see how we're off just a tad, and all those fish are swimming in and out.
Here it is. You're so close. That's a good bluegill, though.
You're welcome, Troy. Here, we'll keep you guys in this mode for a little bit, maybe. I can get this figured out. It's leany.
Sorry, I'm wiggling all around.
Yeah.
And that's just because I just threw the fish back. Let's get back out there. There's way more marks.
There we go.
So you can see me dropping down from the top. Oh, fish are coming up. This is like an easy night. Look at this.
Oh, she says that.
Yeah, and then it snubbed me. Isn't that funny? That's how it goes. Oh, we're moving, so my jig will come back in a second here. Oh, there it is. Woo. The crappie. The old in the water catch and release.
Look around. So that crib is still slightly in front of us here.
That's why I'm catching all the fish.
And he always is in the front catching all the fish.
I just get lucky.
He's lucky, all right.
Oh, it's a baby one. Lost him.
That one. What Emily lost. We're a little closer than I usually like to be, but
It is fun to see, you know, there's little dots right at the bottom, and some of those are smaller fish hanging around. I guess some of those are pretty good fish. Sometimes when they're tight to the bottom, you can't quite see how, you know, what their size is exactly. There you are. Going on down there. I might have just lost my bait. I might have just
you're
lost it.
in the crib.
Right
Yeah.
above it. Look at them coming up. There it is. Crappie. Crappie. Double crappie.
So this is what it's like to be retired.
Yeah, wouldn't that be? Wouldn't that be? Oh no.
Emily's touching the screen.
Okay, that is my gripe about the Live Scope. I hate to say this. That touchscreen is so touchy. It is so touchy. You must be able to change that sensitivity. I haven't looked at it that close. I'll be honest.
So there you can see that's a little bit of a bigger mark right there.
I have a net straight in front of me, and I literally boat flip every single crappie. Just
like
hope
my
for the
biggest
best.
pet peeve.
I just hope for the best. If they get off, they get off. That's the thing. It is nice to be out on, I almost said a Tuesday night. Oh my gosh, it's absolutely Thursday. But I think I saw one other boat launch behind us, but we were the only boat at the launch when we got here. And so sometimes this lake has quite a few people doing recreational sports, crazy boating and whatever. And that's fun, do it in the middle of the lake. But it's nice that there isn't any boat waves and jet skis and all kinds of things. Whoop, whoop.
They really like your brown minnow. I might have to change. Oh, that's a good one.
No, not that one. It's probably not as good as the first one, but it's close. When they get the bump on the head, that's how you know.
Oh, your mom says that's fun. All right. Should we move back to single person or move back to viewer mode or leave it on this?
We can leave it. We can leave it. Look at all the fish down there. That's the thing, is it's so exciting. I guess as far as all of these panfish, you know, we've caught quite the mix of fish. Obviously, not all of them are giants. Some of them have been pretty nice. But here's a net right here. But I think we're using different rods right now. So I wonder, actually, give me 1 second. I'll hook my hookup so I'm not just flinging it around. But at least what I am using here, and let's see if I can sneak this between without bumping things too crazy. It's kind of reflecting. JT Panhandler. It's a 7-foot. It's an ultralight. And I have it all, I guess, like pinked out, so I can get the pink wraps. You can see my bait there. There you go. It's that brown leech. Oh, it's a little. There you go. That brown leech. the pink wraps, and I can have the JT grip tape, and just all around a really great rod. Even though it is an ultralight, it really does have a great backbone on it. And so the nice thing is these bigger fish, you're able to handle them, pull them in. And I think that is part of the reason that I stubbornly insist on boat flipping fish is you just feel like you have that control, that you can lift it into the boat. So that's not actually what you want to do, but it is really great to be able to rely on your rod and your gear and have something that is so reliable. Are you also using the ultra?
I'm also using the Panhandler, yeah.
It just is the thing. What we have going on, I guess I can say this also, is both of us have multiple rod setups in the boat at the same time. And so,
Troy, that rod is 7 foot.
oh, there's a pool. Yeah.
So it's a really nice setup for being a 7 foot ultralight. I'll say, like, I spent a lot of my life using ultralights, and when you think of ultralights, you really think of something that doesn't have a whole lot of backbone. But this actually is a really good taper, and you do have a lot of control.
Oh, I jinxed it. There's a boat behind us.
Despite the name Panhandler, you know, I know a lot of our friends use this for walleye fishing. You know, it can handle an 1/8 ounce, even a 1/4 ounce jig just fine without getting too much deflection, you know, too much bend in the rod where it kind of mutes your feeling. It's been a really good rod. I'm really glad we got it. Some of I think my favorite though still has to be the Mag Light and the 7.3. That's probably the best all around go-to rod in my opinion. Like, I use it all spring for walleyes. I use it all summer for casting for crappies or walleyes. Even do a little bass fishing with it, you know, finesse bass fishing. And then the 7.6.
You all saw it. I know it. I just missed it. It was the tiniest bite. I'm so sorry. I tried so hard.
The 7.6 Mag Light is actually a really nice trolling rod, and so we got to use it a little bit this year, and I thought you had one of those big marks.
I know that's what I was going for. This is still totally a respectable fish, but it is not those others. So you were talking about the rods.
Well, you started talking about the rods.
No,
I just said that the 7.6 has been a really cool panfish trolling rod for me. You know, I put some little crankbaits on it this year. I put some twister tails like I normally use. All kinds of stuff. So that's been a really good trolling rod. It's pretty soft. I know there's a lot of guys using it right now for fishing walleyes and using it for doing snap jigging and stuff, just because it does have quite a bit of power, but it's kind of soft on the tip, so it doesn't pull those hooks out quite as much as something that's a little bit more heavy. So I don't know. I guess I keep an ultralight, a light, and a medium in the boat. I do have a medium light, but that's strictly for my float fishing. I don't really use that for anything else. I don't switch it over. I just have a slip bobber on there. That's what we use to cast docks and stuff for crappies. But it's getting that time of year. We can almost break the JT ice rods out and do this over the boat.
Yeah, actually, that's a great point. Well, there's you, Colin. The crib will come back into focus. I know that's a little bit more fun to watch. We float a little bit back and forth here. I think ice season it's a little bit easier to use a live scope because then you can really focus it like where you want it. Like, unit isn't moving unless you move it. But there you go. that jigging not far off of 10 feet is me. Sometimes they'll race out there for it, but I feel like I noticed the fish get a little bit tighter to the crib. I wonder if there is a bigger fish around, some kind of predator. Otherwise, those crappies have not been shy this whole night. Oh, look at them. They come back out. Maybe they just needed our baits to be back out here. Oh, such a little bite. Such a little bite.
Well, there's that big one down there.
Yeah, I'm trying for him. Wiggling my worm. Nope, that was a little bite too. I passed that little one. Try to go down to the bottom for that other one. Get back here. Whoop. As the sun has set, I don't notice the fish. Sometimes as the water changes, as the sun goes down, you need to change your bait to keep up with, I guess the fish eyesight or what they're eating, or I don't know what the deal is, but sometimes you have to change your bait to keep up with that. And I don't notice that bite having changed at all so far. I wonder if I got bit off. Oh, lost my bait. I guess with that being said, this is a funny thing. I only have one more of those brown leech plastics. And so, well, I guess that's not true. Maybe this is an old one, but I do have something close that I'm going to try. So maybe I'll show you guys this. Oops. Like such a slight difference. This one over here is a little bit more see-through than the camera makes it look. This is that brown one that I have been using, and I pinched off just a little bit of the head. Honestly, you know what I think? I think when you put it on a jig head, a round jig head, that the jig head fits nice with this, and I don't like the way they butt up against each other here. A fish would never notice that, but it's something I'm picky about, and I almost always try to shape the bodies to the head that I'm using. So I'm sure that the fish are going to still be biting. And I guess I said I was out of the brown ones, and I do have, oh, here's what I'll say. This is why I'm not using it, is because it is really all bit up on this one side, and this is starting to fall apart, but maybe we'll see. I don't know. You haven't had to change it all. You're using still that bright glitter pink, right?
I am just switching over to a black, actually. I just think, to me, I think as that you get into that night transition, they start chasing shadows a little bit more, and especially with how aggressive these fish have been. I just kind of want to tone it down a little bit and see if that makes a difference.
It's funny that we went in opposite directions as far as color. Oh, they still see me. It's not dark yet. I wasn't ready, to be honest. They're just looking at it. I wonder if some of those are bluegills. This is a pretty good sized bait for a bluegill. We did catch a bluegill here tonight, and so we know that they are eating, but where'd our crib go? Oh yeah, it's still out there. Whoop. Josh has got one. Whoop. Whoop. I almost just missed one. Oh, that was like a good one. Let's see if they bite again. Sometimes you can get them to bite twice, to be honest. Whoa, that is a good one. Whoa, got it. It wasn't as good as I thought, but it was pretty good. Probably an 11. 10. 11. Hard to say. Woo. Sometimes they get in the boat and the crappies just like, or like dead fish. They just like sit there until you throw them back. And then sometimes they're so feisty and they flap all over the place. That one was not home. Oh, get him, Josh. I'm dropping down. Whoa, I just missed a bite because it ate me while I was dropping, and I like literally didn't even know I was getting a bite. Look how high up there I am. See, that's crazy. You can just fish all throughout this water column right now. And I guess it is only 14 feet of water, and the crib does come all the way up to 10 feet. So that's a huge range for fish to swim around in. It's so funny on the live scope. It looks like we're fishing on top of each other, and we're totally not. It's just in a plane. You can see behind the crib. Let's see if I can point that out. Look at all those fish behind the crib. Maybe if I get a deep bobber set up, I can get back there a little bit. I don't want to get tangled though. And actually, that's an interesting point because tonight is honestly some of the easiest fishing that we've had all summer. I'm going to be honest, these fish are just biting, and that is great. We could never have planned that. But when you are in that situation where you're really grinding fish out more, one of the things that we will do is because we're in Wisconsin, we get to have up to 3 lines in the boat. And so we will often have a bobber set up along with the jig, along with, multiple presentations at a time so that you can, I guess, maximize your opportunities. When you get a bobber out in summer is almost like the equivalent of a tip up in the winter, right? At least to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's nice to have that floating out there. And it doesn't even necessarily have to be along any structure or anything really. It can just be floating out in the middle of nowhere. And a lot of times that's where some of the bigger fish are. They're actually outside of the structure cruising, and they're picking off some of those smaller fish that, venture out a little too far from the structure. So that's what that slip bobber will imitate, is a fish that's kind of strayed a little too far from home, and those bigger fish like to take advantage of that. So, but it's always fun to take a look when you have the technology, just to kind of watch and play video games for an evening. That's always kind of fun. Let's see. Seems lately I am catching more sunnies, bluegills than crappies in traditional crappie spots. Any thoughts? Okay, so my thought on that is that it could be water temps, but it also could be that crappies do tend to cycle a little bit, and so when you remember some of those great crappie spots, a lot of times you're like, man, like 5, 6, 7 years ago it was great, and then it just kind of got bad, and now it's everybody hit that lake super hard, and what happens is crappies tend to get really high in population, and they have these big year classes, and then they just dip out for some reason, and then they kind of go away, and then they come back, and it's kind of just one of those crazy cycles that lakes can go through. Is as far as traditional bluegill and crappie spots, it may be the types of bait that you're using. I think especially when crappies or when bluegills get a little bit bigger, there's not much discrimination between the bait size between what the crappies are eating and what the bluegills are eating. So maybe you're just fishing with something that's a little bit too small for the current crappies.
Look at that tail.
Maybe you're fishing with something that the crappies aren't currently eating it, but the bluegills are. There's a whole lot of factors that go into that. And I think, to me, so that's where something like an AquaView comes into very helpful. Like you guys can see on the screen here, this is super fun, right? You can see the fish moving in real time. You can see it out. Like we can bump this way out,
way out.
You can look up way out here. There's fish, right? They're out at 70, 80 feet. There's fish. And that's cool to know. I don't necessarily know what those fish are.
Well,
right?
Catching a fish.
So I know that there's fish out there. story kind of along those lines. Emily and I were out fishing at Osakis last week, and we had caught some walleyes, and we'd caught some nice bluegills, and so we went back to that spot. We were fishing. Man, guys, there was some huge marks swimming around. Like, there was 20-inch walleyes swimming around all over the place, and so
we were like, whoa.
I was casting hair jigs. I was casting the strolling rigs, the core tackle rigs, jerk baits. I was throwing everything. So then we put the live scope down. It was suckers. But the shape that suckers are versus walleyes is so like minuscule. And we don't like sit and stare at this machine all the time, especially for walleyes, enough to even tell that difference. And so if we hadn't had the AquaView, we could have wasted a whole day trying to cast at these walleyes that weren't biting it, when in fact they were just suckers.
That is my bobber.
You really should raise that up a little bit.
Yeah, I'm about to run into that crib, but that fish is going to eat me first.
So, yeah, I think AquaViews really do have a great place in the boat on the ice. It just gives you verification at what some of this more expensive technology can't give you all the time. The one thing is, people will say, well, you can't really see as far, and that's true, right? But that's the one limitation that it has on the live scope or the forward-facing sonars. Like, you can't really see as far, but you can see what it actually is. And so that's why I think that, like, if you are looking for something in the realm of underwater verification, I really think AquaView is the way to go before you invest in a live scope. Learn your AquaView, learn your spots and your structure, and you'll have a good time.
Gina's saying hi in the chat. He's our neighbor. Gina, if you're still there, I feel like we should have brought you.
we had to boogie because we didn't even know if this was going to work.
Yeah.
And hopefully, we get to watch the playback and see how good it went, because this would be fun to do a little bit more. I know that the summertime is a little bit slow with topics and stuff. Everybody's busy watching, doing their own vacations. And so are we. And so, like, doing something like this, mix it up every once in a while, is kind of fun. Hey, you're welcome, Troy. Anytime. I want one of those big marks to come back so I can jig at it.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, guys. Well, I don't know. To me, it's kind of looking like fish are transitioning to their nighttime mode. There's a few over that way. There's a few around. Just bites have kind of slowed down a little bit. We're hitting that 50-minute mark almost. So, yeah. If you guys enjoyed it, let us know in the comments. We really appreciate all the comments and the questions. That makes it fun for us to chat with you guys. That's kind of why we do it. And yeah, what are you thinking?
What am I thinking? I'm just still gonna fish until, I don't know. There's still marks out here. I want to go and find them, but it might take some hunting.
I think
mosquitoes are starting to come out. I'll tell you what.
All right. Well, I think we're going to go hunt, guys. Thanks for sharing a little bit of our evening, and we'll see you on the next week's edition of the Night Bite. Good night, guys.